We're going to jump right in. Screen is recording. Okay, perfect. All right, welcome to the Ecom Entrepreneurs Academy live coaching call number 4 of EEA Masters. So the format of this live coaching call will be first just a couple of updates, then going to discuss a topic that I think maybe needs some further clarification or emphasis based on some of the recent emails and messages I've received, which is profit margin. Next, we're going to address some of the submitted Q&A, and then of course, as we do every week, we'll have the live Q&A. So updates, first of all, the narrowing down your product opportunity spreadsheet video. I was able to find it, and it's actually being uploaded as we speak. So that should be up in, hopefully just a few minutes. It was actually part of a larger video, a recording that I did a few months ago. So I had to kind of trim it and cut it, and it's around 12 minutes, 35 seconds, as you can see. And that will be up in the members area very soon. Next, all of modules 6, 7, and 8 will be posted within 24 hours. There were a few issues with that as well. So that will be all up very, very soon. Next, the product checklist. I know that you guys have been waiting for that. It's almost done. I know that for some of you, having a checklist is, an easier way to keep track of your products. Obviously, the spreadsheet itself is almost like another version of the checklist, but that will be up by tonight as well. And that's pretty much all the updates I have. And then I want to get into this topic fairly quickly, but I also want to focus on it a little bit, and I want to, get some of your inputs if you guys have, and see, hopefully I can understand this. It's almost like a reiteration of what we've already discussed in the course, in the training, but I sometimes, because there's, several criteria and because there's so many things to consider, sometimes profit margin unfortunately kind of gets left behind, or it's forgotten, which is a major problem because obviously this is a business and one of your main goals should be, or your primary goal should really be to make money, obviously. And if you're not doing that, right, it doesn't matter how good your product is, it doesn't matter how, awesome the other criteria are, profitability is extremely important, right? So demand is the number one criteria in finding products, but with regards to, which product to go with, profitability has to be one of your main, if not your top consideration. So just to, go through this, make sure that you will make a good profit margin with your product, right? And again, it's so cliche and it sounds like, well, why is he telling us this? It's like it's been a few weeks already. It's been 4 or 5 weeks. But again, I've seen people email me or tell me about, what kind of product they're doing, the potential costs they have with their supplier if you include air shipping. And I'm like, wait, if you're selling a product for $20, but you're paying $10, per unit to ship and to produce, it doesn't make any sense. Right. So again, I advise you to refer back to module 2 in the specific lesson on profitability and check that out and make sure that you understand that properly, because this is extremely important, as I mentioned. So just to, again, kind of go through how you come up with profit margin and how you should be doing it with every one of your products, or at least, your top 3 products or your final 3 products. First of all, you take the selling price. So for example, if I was to sell my cookie cutter set for $14.99, for every, and again, we're using the FBA revenue calculator here to get this number that Amazon pays you, right? And again, if you don't remember how to use the FBA revenue calculator, go back and check out the video in the course that shows you how to do that. Amazon pays me 1006, meaning that they took 493 for every sale at the selling price of 14.99 for this specific product. To manufacture and ship my product, I paid, let's say, $4. Okay, that's again a hypothetical situation scenario. Per sale, I make a profit of 606, right? To actually get that number, you subtract your whatever Amazon pays you by, of course, the cost that you put into the product, which includes your manufacturing and your shipping, which is $4 in this situation. So your profit, your net profit is 606, and then your profit margin is your net profit divided by your selling price. So 606 divided by 14.99 is around 40% profit margin. So you want to make sure that you're, ideally around 40% profit margin, but it's okay if you're even close to 30, 35%. That's fine. Because always the first time you do this and you embark on this in this business or on your first product, it's expected that you will have higher costs, right, the first time around. The second time around, you've learned from the process, you've learned from your experience, and you're able to, figure out how to limit your costs. Your supplier may even give you a discount because it's your second order and whatnot. So again, your profit margin will increase, hopefully to this point, but at the very least, if your first time it's 35%, that's ideal. Now, let me show you a scenario that I saw with someone else, with one of the students recently. Again, this is not an exact, I didn't want to put exact numbers because I don't want to embarrass anybody or whatever. But this is a close enough example that hopefully will show you what I'm talking about and why I was kind of concerned when I saw this. So if someone's selling prices around $25, and for every sale Amazon pays me 16, meaning that they take $9. Okay. So again, Amazon takes around 35 to 40% of each sale. Okay. So in this case, let's say it's around $9. To manufacture and ship my product, I paid $9. So this one person told me that if you include the cost of the product itself to produce, and then include all the shipping costs and everything like that for air shipping, it's costing them near $9 per unit. Okay. So first of all, that's fairly high in terms of your initial investment. Okay, hopefully you should know that you have that much to spend. But if you're even ordering like 500 units at $9, that's quite a significant amount of money to invest at the very beginning. Again, that's up to you, and that's your personal preference. But again, that's just something to note. And per sale, I make a profit of $7. And again, you take $16, which was what Amazon paid you, divided or subtracted from $9, 9 from 16. That leaves you at $7 net profit. And then your profit margin is around 28%, which is very low. Okay, it's close to 30, 35, like I said, but it's pretty low, especially considering the fact that your initial investment was $9, which is very high. Okay, so if you're looking at this product, this honestly would not be advisable. And again, this is more on a general level, not on a specific case, that you want to make sure that you're making a good profit margin on any product that you're going with. Okay, so don't forget that. I know that it takes a couple of minutes to go to the FBA revenue calculator, kind of do all these calculations, but it's worth it. Okay, so any product that you think is a great opportunity and you're potentially going to include it in your top three or your one of your final product opportunities to choose from, make sure that you do this before you put it, as one of your final products. Okay, that's very important. And again, I know that one of the main reasons that the profit margin is affected so significantly is not necessarily because of the product cost itself to produce it or manufacture it. Rather, it's mainly, generally, in most cases, it's because the air shipping is so high. And of course, you can go back to the second coaching call and you can utilize the tips that were provided to lessen the cost of air shipping, right? And that entire webinar was pretty much how to, lessen the cost of air shipping, and also, in the future, potentially use sea shipping or ocean shipping as an alternative to really lower your costs and increase your profit margin. Okay. So utilize those tips to lessen the cost of air shipping. All right. So that is the topic that I wanted to kind of discuss here as we begun. Just based on, again, some of the things that I saw from some of you who sent in messages or emails, and that's why I was kind of concerned. So are there any questions thus far, whether it's on profit margin or anything that has been mentioned so far? Please let me know right now before we move on. And if not, then just give me a no. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let's keep moving then into some of the submitted Q&A. So we got, I think, fewer number of questions this time. Actually, there was one person who submitted like 7 questions in one, so that'll take up, some time. But other than that, it was pretty much not too many. But let's go through them right now. All right. So question number 1: if we have a version 1 of a product and we've gone live with it, and then we make some improvements, meaning there's a version 2 now, and they say we want to update our images, descriptions, bullets, etc. with the new features, benefits, but we don't want customers receiving version 1 instead of version 2. Is there any way to tell when FBA starts shipping the second version of the product without, for example, having to go out of stock with the first one? So I refer to some of the Facebook groups I'm in, some of my mentors and whatnot. And unfortunately, this is the general response that I received. I would deplete the old stock and depending on sales volume, send out the new one. So it replenishes soon after like a day or two being out of stock. Obviously, update the pics. So essentially what this answer means is that unfortunately, there's really not a way to know when FBA starts shipping the second version of the product without having gone out of stock with the first one. So you kind of have to predict based on the recent sales that you've had. Let's say you're selling like 10 units a day, for example, and you have 30 units left, or let's say 50 units left, then you know that in 5 days you're going to run out. So at that point, estimating how long it'll take for you to ship it or for it to get to FBA and for them to check it in and whatnot, you may, want to kind of just it's kind of a guessing game at that point, right? So you kind of have to again, there's no really accurate way or perfect way of doing this. It's kind of a shady situation. So again, hopefully that answer makes sense, that you would need to pretty much deplete the old stock before again, if you send the new inventory, the second version of the product to FBA, there's no real guarantee that which version they're going to receive, right? So if there's still 30 units of version 1 left and you send in 500 units of version 2, someone may still get the version 2 instead of the version 1. Okay, so that's just kind of the reality. So that's why you want to make sure that version 1 is completely done before you start selling version 2. Otherwise, there may be some issues. But again, just estimate it, predict it the best you can, and hopefully you won't have any issues with your customers. Number two, any other website to source other than Alibaba? So here are a few names. AliExpress is one that I like. Global Sources, DIY Trade. Again, there are many others such as these. These are just some of the more well-known ones and popular ones. Obviously, Alibaba is the most well-known of all of these. But some of these, like AliExpress, for example, is a smaller, site, which means essentially that you may be able to get lower minimum order quantities, MOQs, because it's not as large as Alibaba. Maybe the suppliers aren't as large, as Alibaba. So you may be able to get lower MOQs with them without a significant raise in the price. So again, you can check out these other sites as well. That was one of the questions submitted. Number three, how many items should we set for giveaway? So essentially, this is covered in Module 7. It depends on how much inventory you have. So just to give those of you who don't know or may not be familiar with this, what this questioner means by giveaway is that the strategy that we use to get initial rank for our product and to actually, have it show up, let's say if someone searches for the main keyword, is by essentially giving away our product for free or at a very steep discount, $1 or $2, for example, in exchange for a review. So not only do we get the sale from the person who we gave the product to for free or at a steep discount, but we also are asking for an honest, unbiased review in exchange for that, right? Because our listing, now that it's up, it doesn't have any reviews, we don't have any sales. So we need to build that. And the way we do that is by giving away the product to people who are willing to pay for it or willing to, receive it and give us a review in return. So having said that, to adjust the question, it honestly depends on how much inventory you have, right? If you have, 500 units of inventory, you obviously have more room to do giveaways than someone who ordered, let's say, 250. Or if you have 1,000, then you have more than someone who has only 500 units of inventory. So again, it just depends. As a percentage, though, generally, I would say at least think around 10%. So if you have 500 units, be ready or expect to give away 50 units. Or if you have 250, expect to give away 25 at least. So between maybe 10 and 15%. And again, sometimes people think of this as, oh, well, I just spent money on buying these units. Now I'm giving them away for free. I'm losing money at the beginning. Why would I do this? Well, the logic behind it is really that you're not, don't think of it as losing money. Rather, think of it as buying rank. Honestly, you're literally paying money, which in this situation is your product, right? So if you paid $5, for your product, you're kind of losing that money. Also, Amazon's going to